Welcome to the Black Hole. I'm your host, catshee. Game engines, as the name implies, they're like an engine, but for games. And as the title implies, the local man is me, and I'm insane. Remember when I said this 3 months ago? No one plays a game and says, wow, nice internal structure, to which I rebuttal, nah, game engines are fun to make. Also yeah, maybe the game benefits a bit I don't even know anymore. I'm gonna try to keep this understandable for everyone who has gone outside ever. If I fail, feel free to insult me. So the engine is called Starry, because it's kinda similar to Stellar, which is half of the game's name. It's desktop only because mobile is obnoxious, just end up giving me like $3, and also no Mac support unless I find a briefcase full of money. It probably isn't that hard, I just can't be bothered, and Macs are really expensive here, especially when you're also in the 5th dimension. I'm also using C# for the entire thing. C# isn't the greatest language, but it mostly works. If you don't know what C# is, C# is a musical note lying a chromatic semitone. For rendering I'm using Skier, which is the renderer of a little project called Chrome, and also every browser based on Chrome, which is all of them except Firefox, but Firefox also uses Skier, so you can't escape Skier, unless you're using Safari or something, but no one cares about Safari. Skier is definitely overkill, but SDL and Raylib simply don't fucking work. One convenient thing about C# is that it makes it very simple to make your crap code multi-threaded, I think. I haven't tried multi-threading in other languages because they annoy me. Starry has multi-threading so you can use all of your electric rock for your big dumb shit. The engine is really tiny, so there's only a bunch of boring stuff nobody cares about and entities, which is important for simulating an entire universe. Entities are just objects that do stuff. There's also groups, which are just tags. I don't know why I didn't call them tags. But the point is that groups can be used to check what things the entity is. For example, my cat is alive, can walk, can run, can jump, can eat stuff, can drink stuff, can see, can smell, can stab. You get the idea. As I said, the engine is tiny, so there's not many features. Although there is some features I'm planning to add, such as audio, multiplayer, modding through Lua, and an acceptable UI system. I'm just making the devlog now because it's been 3 months. So I was using Godot up to this point, until I randomly thought, wouldn't it be funny if I made a game engine, so I did. I designed the entire thing in one sleepless night, and then implemented quite a bit of it the next day. It wasn't very good, but that was the easy part. Now it was time for rendering. While I was making the entity system, my friend tried making a renderer for reasons I can't remember, the internationally acclaimed Crender. He didn't finish the Crender. I also added an input system, which is useful for when your PC isn't just something you hang on a museum. This shit sucks. As the Crender was never finished, I tried making my own renderer. It didn't work, but it turns out, Raylib actually supports 3D. And if you don't know, in layman's terms, Raylib is the lib of Ray. Unfortunately, Raylib 3D is, to put it lightly, shit. You can put your shitty models in the OBJ format, but then there's no materials, it's just a slab of pitch black. You can use the GLTF format, which supports materials, but Raylib just silently dies. There's some other model formats, but they don't exist, and there's Vox, which is Minecraft. Vox worked, however there's the tricky issue of not having any lighting ever. It's just a slab of blue, which isn't very nice to Homo sapiens eyeballs. Meanwhile, catshee was trying to make an editor for absolutely no reason. The tricky issue is that you simply can't have lighting. I mean you can, there's an example in the Raylib website, but there's a light limit of 4, and having more than 4 lights requires an acceptable 3D renderer, something Raylib doesn't support. Difficult. Making a renderer from scratch also requires some weird math stuff. The obvious solution is, you guessed it, shitty 2D pixel art. I actually tried a couple of perspectives, but it's a bit easier to hide my horrible art with pixel art, and to support it I just need a tile map, which you guessed it, is a map of tiles. Look at this incredible demonstration. Now that there's an awful renderer, it was time to make text work and shit. It didn't go very well. Also, my OS started breaking for inexplicable reasons. I reinstalled it and it was still broken. Third time's the charm, no cares.
Encrypting save games. Why? Because the world today is not the world of yesterday. A capital.
You see, the issue with text is that Raylib text simply doesn't fucking work. I tried making a custom text system, but it didn't work either, for inexplicable reasons, so I decided to try SDL. The thing is that, imagine a game engine is a tower. The people living there aren't gonna be very happy if you switch the bottom floor 50 times. That's because they're now dead, and it's your fault. Reconsider your life choices. To solve this, I tried to make a platform thingy on top of every Raylib/SDL call, but it was too late. Everything was already busted and dead. The issue is that SDL, SDL has the small problem of also inexplicably not working. At some point I broke maps. Here's another cool and normal demonstration. I tried to do some ridiculous bullshit, but it didn't work either. This was when I installed my esoteric OS. At some point right-clicking crashed the engine. At some point images were broken and I was mind-boggled on how stupid a library can get. Then at some point shit just magically started working. I don't really remember. Text was still busted, so I made this horrendous font that looks like Minecraft but bad and tried to bring back my custom text engine. It's not very good. Did you know Jay recently had its 500th birthday? Fun fact. This discombobulating insanity led to me speedrunning 3D animation. Apparently I was supposed to add a lottery, so introducing the heroin lottery. Just click on the link below and we'll send a guy to your house to hang out with you.
Fuck off.
Eventually I made a debug mode, but it sucked. Unfortunately I thought it'd be funny to use C++, just to fuck around, because why not? Setting up a build system for C or C++ is, to put it lightly, tricky. Type of disease string is dogwater too. A lot of C++'s stuffs are dogwater. Lua is a language often used for embedding inside other programs, for example Roblox, and other examples. Somehow I got it to conflict with itself. Exporting this batshit insane setup requires some silly stuff to get it to work on Windows.
Why does everything have asterisks? Does C++ have artificial flavor?
This is my first segfault, which happens when you try to access a restricted part of memory. In layman's terms, and don't even think about suggesting Rust. At this point I started making the shitty Minecraft dystopia video. Man. I have crippling depression. There was originally a tablet until I realized it sucked.
David from Weezer. What happened to him? He died.
C++ is dogwater, so I decided to try Zig. It's dogwater.
Bold me up, daddy.
I also dabbled in making programming languages. Here's Java but worse.
Kettle X Jug Wattpad fanfic. Thumbs up emoji.
I'm just gonna skip this part.
Punctuation is key to not making somebody look like a slut. Remember to never be close to a nuclear explosion without auditory protection. There's a guy screaming.
Finally I went back to C# and started work on Starry 2, the long-awaited sequel to Starry. I tried using Raylib again, but fonts inexplicably didn't work. Again, I tried OpenGL again, but it's, to put it lightly, tricky. I also dabbled in a random framework I found for like an hour until I realized it's literally impossible to rotate an image. Eventually I settled on Skier, of course, as you may have guessed from how many minutes ago the intro was. Here's a couple images of me trying to get the renderer right. Feline excrements tried adding audio, but it was busted on Linux, which is inconvenient since I use Linux. Christmas with heroine Hillary Clinton, and that funny feeling when
The machine of a dream.
You just too good.
Active the other fool 6 FD dollar plus 99 /_ G.
Do you feel like part 2? Probably not unless I have a mental breakdown. Go mental breakdown. Should I rename this to Gloop? Shia LaBeouf.
I also did some input stuff, but that's the most boring thing in the galaxy. Now let's talk about Bobguy. Invented in 1985 by John Bobguy, Bobguy has been a symbol of national pride since the 18th century. Here's his original 3D design, and here's the new Bobguy. This mind-boggling animation took mind-boggling amounts of effort and help from that guy.
The machine of a tree.
Then I added timers. It's a timer. I also added animations and particles. Here's an example. Things have been going well so far, except for my charger becoming a serious safety hazard. It would be funny, but I replaced the cable thingy. I can't come up with a better ending, so like this video if you found this shit mildly bearable, dislike if you didn't, because this video is now over.
Bold me up, daddy.